So it looks like the embargo for Nightreign has fallen, and so now we're going to watch it. Here we go.
Before we begin, I just need to say that the footage in this video was provided by Bandai Namco, as no capture was permitted during the event. So unfortunately, some of the really cool things I talk about may not always be perfectly represented on screen.
Okay.
Now, on to the preview.
Tragedy must be averted. And for that,
Max resolution,
I
it's
need
there.
your help.
That's cool.
Elden Ring Nightreign is not a battle royale. Not that you ever thought it was, but as a former battle royale enjoyer, I can't help but compare the white knuckle moments I get when the storm closes in on me in those last gripping moments of a half-hour-long session of a Fortnite match to the nail-biting bits where I'm desperately trying to outrun the encroaching circle and make it to a
I don't know what to
life-saving
think
site
about
of grace
this.
in Nightreign. PvP elements are completely absent in Nightreign, though not missed one bit.
So there's no PvP.
Still, you'll drop into a map with a squad, start.
All right, so you have a it's you land in a certain area. Okay, this makes sense.
From nothing,
PvP's
and
ass?
spend your
Yeah,
time
it is.
ransacking the map to hopefully power yourself
PvE,
up for
roguelite,
the final
survival.
battle.
Yeah.
From the risk
This is
reward
really
moments of
cool.
looting a church for
That,
one
like,
more
Cerberus
flask
boss?
charge as the circle closes in, to the wave of sadness you feel when experiencing a devastating loss after taking so much time building yourself up. It's hard not to see the battle royale influences. But
Yeah, sure.
after 4 hours of playing the upcoming stress
He got a
test
bird
build,
head.
I'm ecstatic to report that Nightreign probably won't tarnish the Elden Ring name.
Cool. Yeah, I'm 100% going to play this. This is going to be awesome.
When beginning a match, you'll be given a choice to pick one of 4 available classes, though there will be a total of 8 when Nightreign launches.
Okay.
The current options will be the all-arounder Wilder, the speedy glass cannon Duchess, the tanky Guardian, and
That's
the
what I'm gonna play.
magic-wielding Recluse. Each class has its own strengths and weaknesses, of course, but in my time with this build, I found that the most fun class to play was the Duchess, thanks to her powerful abilities and swift and nimble dodges.
This is cool.
I also spent some time with the Recluse, which was incredibly powerful, but I ran out of FP quite often, and with no FP flasks, they aren't in this Elden Ring, she'll definitely be one of the harder classes to play effectively.
Yeah, that's one of the
Each
weaknesses
class
that
comes
Magic
equipped
has
with a
early
leveling
on.
path, which I'll talk about more in a moment, but
Like, later
more
on in the game, it
importantly,
never matters.
They all have unique skill and ultimate abilities. The Duchess, for example, has an
I hate that
incredibly powerful
cocksucker.
skill that repeats the last 1.5 seconds of damage an enemy has just taken, and
Oh,
it
that's
has a
cool.
short cooldown to boot. Also, it's not just your damage, it's everyone's damage.
What the
So
fuck?
while you're flipping around the battlefield landing attacks, you're also waiting for huge health spikes to try and capitalize on doubling that damage.
Wow.
It's great stuff. Other skills also match the class's predetermined role. The Wilder can do a blast attack to try to land big damage. The Guardian can create a large shield, both negating damage and reviving fallen allies.
Yeah, it's
While
probably
the Recluse
we'll
can
play
curse an
that.
enemy, granting all attackers HP and FP bonuses. So while players can double up classes in a run, it's always a good idea to talk about team strengths
3
and weaknesses
Guardians.
to diversify your group. When starting completely fresh, players will find themselves in Nightraign's Roundtable Hold. After matchmaking with 2 other random players, or using a multiplayer password to play directly with your friends, a small cutscene will play and everyone will soar over Limvale, not Limgrave, before landing and beginning their run. A full run of Nightreign lasts around 30 to 45 minutes, depending on how fast you take down the ending bosses. While it's presented as a 3-day cycle, it really boils down to 5 separate phases. Day 1, Night 1, Day 2, Night 2, and the final boss. When Day 1 begins, the map is fully open, and that's when you'll begin exploring and leveling up. Everyone's level 1 at the outset with basic starting gear, save for relics that you're rewarded with at the end of every round that grant you persistent buffs between matches.
So there's actual, like,
relics being
constant
offered
progression.
for better performances. Once landed, my team always beelined for the first enemy camp we could find for a quick boost of experience to begin leveling up, which was key to defeating stronger foes. From
Okay.
there, you'll decide what your team wants to do by looking at the surrounding area on the map, as it will be littered with points of interest for you to explore. Each point of interest typically comes with predictable rewards. Churches will house a flask charge to increase your overall health potion usage.
Yeah, that's the way the game
Castles will
always
feature
was.
a mini-boss that drops more powerful gear, and rises, similar to Ronnie's Rise found in the lands between,
Magic shit.
will present a simple puzzle to solve before entering to find even more gear. Just to name a few of many. Where to go in Limvale feels kind of overwhelming at first, but the threat of the ever-closing circle will eventually train your brain.
I wonder
to
how
keep
much the
on
map
move.
changes.
Speed is the name of the game during the day cycle, and luckily everything seems to be built around that. For starters, leveling up is as
Yeah,
quick
I feel like a lot of people are kind of like very apprehensive about this game because they feel like it's kind of like what the fuck. But I mean, to me, I'm coming at this from the perspective of like, this is like an Elden Ring mod, and I'm just gonna play the mod. And if the mod is fun, then I'm having fun, and that's what matters. Because like the baseline of this is me playing Elden Ring. And I think Elden Ring's a good game. So if there's a new way for me to play the good game, then I would be having fun. You see what I'm saying?
as a button press.
Monster Hunter
As I
Rise is good to me.
Each of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
4 network test classes has a predetermined stat upgrade path. So when you run up to a site of grace to refill your health, FP, and flash charges, you'll also be presented with the leveling menu, which only requires you to press confirm to increase your level. Heck, you may even have enough rooms to level up 3 or 4 times, and with 3 or 4 button presses, you're all done and substantially more powerful. If you have experience in Souls games, the day phases should be a breeze.
Yeah, I
While
would
searching
assume
the
so.
map for loot upgrades, I ran into recognizable Elden Ring mobs. My team and I decided to take down a camp, but first we had to fight 3 scattered fire chariots before getting our loot reward. Another time,
So you have to
we
like clear the camp in order to get something, it seems.
climbed to the top of a castle to fight a godskin noble. That
Oh,
should be scary,
a
but
fat
with
boy.
2 other tarnished by your side, these mobs and bosses go down pretty fast. Moving around is also way faster than in the original Elden Ring. You won't be clawing the controller anymore, since sprinting is moved from circle, or B, to simply clicking the left stick.
Nice.
Sprinting is also about twice as fast as the regular Elden Ring. Fall
Okay.
damage? Nope, none here. Getting down a cliff
So they're
is
just basically making this Monster Hunter. All right.
easy, and you can even run up walls parkour style,
Yeah.
or use spirit springs to get around. Besides just rune hunting to raise your level, you'll also be trying to build a character to take on the night bosses. There is no armor, save for shields, in Nightreign. Only 6 weapon slots and 2 amulet slots. How it works is, in typical Elden Ring fashion, you can switch between your left and right-handed weapons and shields on the fly, but everything on your person will give you buffs. For example, let's say you found a Reduvia dagger with high bleed. If you so choose,
What the
this could
fuck?
be the
Whoa,
start
hold
of
up.
a bleed build. Now let's say you take down a boss and you're presented with a few.
Okay, now we have the real
For
content here.
example, let's say you found a Reduvia dagger.
So you loot
with
stuff, and then you can potentially get different weapons. Okay, here we go. A game made by modders? Yeah, basically, right? This is that's how I'm approaching it going into this.
I bleed. If you so choose, this could be the start of a
Uh-huh.
bleed build. Now let's say you
Yeah,
take
this
down
looks
a boss
good.
and you're presented with a few other weapons to choose from, and you spot a spear that increases your status effect buildups.
The
You're not
only thing that I have a bit of an issue with is that I don't like time limit games, just like in a general sense. I don't like feeling like I'm rushed.
going to use that spear, as you'll want to stick with your dagger. But you'll still benefit from the status effect buildup the spear provides just by having it on your person. Think of it almost like a roguelike. Sometimes the
Yeah, it's
synergy
obvious,
of weapon effects
right?
and stat upgrades you'll get will build off each other so well that you'll eventually start melting mobs left and right. Other times you'll want something like a poison
like the
build,
base game.
only to keep getting weapons that increase your FP regeneration.
Yeah, sure.
Bummer. Weapons aren't the only rewards either.
What is this? Dormant power. Extends spell effect duration. Poisoning scarlet rot. Continuously restores HP. Flask slowly restores HP. Okay.
Times when looting a boss, you'll get to choose a stat upgrade or a modifier. Some
Yeah.
of these are less exciting than others, such as a 10% increase in physical damage. Useful,
Seems great to
yes.
me.
Exciting, not so much. Other times you'll get something really cool, like a passive power-up that drops a big poise-breaking lightning strike every time you dodge, or an enemy slowing
The
Frost
fuck?
Nova every time you begin to sprint. You can work these into your build for
What?
some powerful combinations. While the day phases can
That
feel
is
like
cool.
a walk in the park, it's the night bosses that serve as a real skill check. After the circle has closed enough to end a day phase, a minor Erd tree will appear, signaling that it's time to take on
That's
the
where you
night
go get the boss.
Over the hours I played, my team ranged from completely decimating the Night 1 boss to barely scraping by. If someone goes down, you'll revive that person by simply attacking their downed body, with ever-increasing attacks needed the more often they drop.
Yeah, sure.
Regardless, the way the Night 1 ends will usually inform you on how the rest of the run will go. I've seen teams come back from barely scraping by the Night 1 boss, but if that boss was tough, you're likely behind in your leveling, and you'll have an uphill battle ahead of you to have a chance against the Night 2 boss. Day 2 begins the same way Day 1 did.
Oh, I really like the fog. I remember PUBG did that. I thought it was so cool.
You'll once again have a full map to explore to level and find better equipment and power.
I wonder if they have areas where it's like
you'll
all
be invaded
fog.
by a random Margit the Fell Omen.
Wait,
who will
what?
chase you until he dies or he wipes your party.
What the
If your
fuck?
team wipes during the day, you'll drop your runes and respawn at the nearest site of grace.
Oh, shit.
You can recover your runes, but
That's
the main
cool.
thing lost here is time, which was wasted fighting an enemy you didn't get a reward from, and wasted having to recover your lost runes.
That's good.
If your team wipes during a night boss, it's game over, and you'll need to begin a new run.
Oh,
By
wow.
the time Night 2 rears its ugly head, it's time for the final skill check.
Okay.
During our playtest, we were met with two different night bosses. You'll either be faced with the Centipede Demon, who is tough but feels somewhat manageable,
Like the
or 3
Cerberus?
Sentinel Knights that really suck. In
What?
my 6 or 7 full runs of Nightreign, my team was only able to get past Night 2 just once.
Centipede. What was the centipede? Oh, that's right. They're adding in the centipede from Dark Souls 1, right? What a cocksucker he was.
Finally, Day 3 is...
I will say visually, this is... Ooh. I'm all about it.
incredibly straightforward. There isn't one. Instead, you'll be able to spend your last bit of runes either leveling up or buying consumable items from a vendor, and then you and your team will take on the final boss of the run. As I mentioned before, depending on how far you got in your run, each player will be rewarded with a relic that provides a persistent upgrade for your characters. These can range from simple stat increases to modifiers that will set you on a build path right from the jump. For my preview, this seems to be the
This is
only
so
meaningful
badass.
progression Nightreign has to offer, though I imagine the full game may have
Oh,
more
so
in store
cool.
for us. Elden Ring Nightreign is a
I wonder if, since this is going to be kind of like an, I don't know if it's going to be like ongoing or not. I wonder if they're going to add more bosses like that later on. Yeah, I don't know.
lot of fun. Pulling off victories by the skin of your teeth provides the same sense of accomplishment you felt when taking down some of Elden Ring's toughest foes. The
Yeah.
moment a round ended, I couldn't wait to jump back in to see what kind of build I'd get the next time around. And the cheer my team let out when we finally took down that blasted Day 3 boss reminds me why I love the Souls-like genre so much. In its current form, Nightreign could be seen as a little content light. So I'm incredibly interested to see how it shakes out when it releases sometime in 2025.
I think that's a good point. Yeah, people could lose interest in it quickly if they just get all of the builds and that's it. If they have specific classes. So it's going to be just like any other roguelite game, I would say.
Now, it's been a few days since I've played Nightreign, and still, it's all I think about. I absolutely can't wait to jump back in for more. For more previews from IGN, make sure to check out our recent hands-on impressions of Dune Awakening and South of Midnight.
I forgot
For
all
everything
about that
else
game.
In the world of video games, stick with IGN.
Well, here's where I'm at with this game. I think that I'm going to approach it with relatively no expectations other than the hope that I'm going to be able to play Elden Ring, which is one of my favorite games of all time, more. I'm not trying to make this into like, I don't think this is Elden Ring 2 or anything like this. I think it's kind of just like a mod. There's a video. That was actually a really good video. I didn't know. I haven't seen a lot of this footage before in the past. It's a $40 game. Yeah, exactly, right? Force co-op? I don't know. I think you can do it solo, but I'm not certain. But yeah, like the visuals for this, and there are new areas in the game that are visually cool. Like, I mean, I think this is probably the best example of it. So yeah. And yeah, you can play 1 or 3. Yeah, apparently you can't play with 2. So exactly, you can't. It's scaled. Like I'll probably start doing it solo and then play with people after that. That's kind of like what my thinking is. And yeah. And Gulf of America or Elden Ring Nightreign, man? I don't know, man. And learn solo? Yeah, exactly. And another video says the game makes you feel rushed all the time. Yeah, and that's why they're probably doing tests and calibration, because I do feel like a game like this, I would kind of feel very rushed to play it. So I'm not really sure what to think. Like, I mean, this is just, I feel like whenever this came out originally, everybody was like really confused and like nobody really knew like how to respond, right? It's like, what is this game? Like, what's going on with this? And so I think we'll just have to wait and see and then decide based off of, you know, whether something is good or not, right? I mean, I don't know. That's at least how I see it. I'm not going to get too like over invested or like hyper fixated on it right now. I'll just have to wait and decide after that. I think that's what at least makes sense for me. I don't know. What do you guys think?